everybody, The Great Escape here, and welcome to our very first tutorial in the 1.16 update. And today we're building a villager trading hall that also functions as an iron farm. My original goal today was just to do a villager trading hall design because that's something I'll be building in my world soon. But then I added beds to it and I realized that we can spawn golems with it. And this is a super simple design that does about a stack to a stack and a half of iron per hour. This is the second hour I ran it and it did 64 and 8. The first hour did 64 and 33, I think. So it's a pretty good design, but this is easy to build early on in your survival world, so let's get those materials. Now in this chest are all the materials you're going to need. You'll need about 400 glass, I think. A little bit, maybe a little bit less, a little bit more, depending on the size of your roof. 400 building blocks of your choice, does not need to be iron blocks. 4 stacks of slabs, 10 signs, 4 chests, 4 hoppers, 20 workstations, 20 beds, and then an infinite water source, and then 2 buckets of lava. All right, so we're going to get started with building out the base area, and it's important for this to be a certain level off the ground because the spawning area for the golems is, I think, like 6 blocks or so away from the center. So you want to take this up, but that's also going to give us space to kill the golems as well. So you just want to start out by putting out your double chest or link it into any storage system with 4 hoppers pointing into the back of the chest, just like this. Simple, simple. And then we're going to go ahead and ring that with glass, like so, going across. And you want to take this up about 6 blocks. So let me go ahead and do that. So we'll end up with something like this. Now, you can choose to kind of wait on some of the bottom parts if you'd like. But if you have Silk Touch, you can come back in here later and get this. But the next thing, we'll go ahead and pop in our signs so that we can stop the lava from coming down. And you don't need that line of glass there if you don't want it, but you can still open the chest even with it. And I will not go ahead and put in the lava because you probably would want to do that in survival mode, because then you'd probably fall in the lava and die. But the next step is to come in here and go ahead and put your whatever your building block is on top of this. And this, of course, needs to be a full spawnable block. All right, from here, we're going to take these out 2 additional blocks, like so, on all sides. Now, if you want to play around with the spawning size of your farm, feel free. There's no harm in testing and making this kind of work for you. Like I said, this is a small, compact farm that's built around a trading hall. So this iron getting is just kind of a bonus secondary portion. But for my uses on a single player world, this is a perfect amount of iron, so it's perfectly fine. And then once you've got this, you're going to come in and fill in these corners like so. And that's the bottom layer complete. All right, from here, our next step is to build our next layer up. And you're just going to need to put a kind of a block like that to kind of build off of. And just do a layer around the outside like so. Like that. And then on these parts right here, we're going to take these out 6 blocks. So counting this block, you're going to add 5 more. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to do that with all 4 of these. Like that. And then also on this row of blocks as well, bring that out to 6 as well. So now you've got 6 blocks here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then that comes out 6 from this corner. So we get kind of this 6 by 6 square. And you'll do that on all 4 sides. All right. And then we've got kind of this plus sign. And then you just want to fill in the diagonal here on all 4 of those corners. Like this, until you get a perfect diagonal connecting that block to that block over there. And then you want to do that on all 4 of those corners as well. So that's the second layer done. And so now we just need to do the final layer for the spawning platform. And the easiest way to do that is just to come here to like one of these corners. And then you're just going to build across like this and then connect it over here like that. And then fill in the diagonal like so. And you'll do the same thing on the other side. Alright, so there's our spawning platform. And so the last thing to do to finish up the iron farm portion of this is to put in some glass walls. And so you want to make sure that these gaps right here are plugged in like this on all four sides. And then you're just going to do a ring of glass around the outside like so. And there we go. So that is our spawning platform. Then we're going to come in with some signs here, and you're going to pop a sign there, and then crouch and click on top of the sign to place one there, and then another one there and there. And that's just going to prevent our water from going down there. Like I said, you can play around with the water mechanics and try to make this spawning platform a little bit larger. It's completely up to you. And then you're going to pop water in all four of these corners because we are done with the platform. Alright, so next we're going to build up where our villagers are going to be. And to start with, you can grab your slabs and come over to one of these sides here and put a slab right there. And you're going to take that out 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then go 1 up there. Now this is where our lectern or whatever is going to go. Our villager will stand here, and then the bed's going to go back here. This block is not spawnable because it's an upside down stair, and the other blocks are going to have things on them. Hey, B. So they won't have any issues with spawning. And then you're going to do the exact same thing every other block, like so, until you have 10 of these. There we are. And so that's kind of the base layer of our spawning, of our villager trading hall section. And then you're going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side. Like that. And so now we've mostly got our villager area in place. All right, next we're going to build up the cage for the villagers to prevent them from kind of running off. So 2 blocks above this kind of block right here, go ahead and put a slab. So that's an upside down slab, so it's non-spawnable. And then you're just going to kind of build a ring around the villager section, whoop, like so. There we go, so that it comes over this, and it's not over the glass, it's over just this section right here. So once the villager's in here, they won't be able to kind of run and get away from you. And then you can go ahead and put a line between each village station like this, like that, and that's going to keep your villagers kind of in place. You can do the same thing on the opposite side. Alright, so there is most of the farm complete. All we have to do now is get our villagers in here, put in the beds and the lecterns or whatever else you're using, and then put a roof over the villagers so they don't get struck by lightning. But that is pretty much it. Now you're more than welcome to come in here with some torches and light this up so that it looks nice. None of these are spawnable though, so it's not a big deal. But I do like having the light for sure. You can, light this up with whatever you want to that's going to look nice or do whatever else. But we'll pop this in. Next we need to get the villagers in here, and you can use rails, you can use boats, you can use water, you can do whatever you want to do to kind of get the villagers in the place where you want them. But I'm going to show you really quickly a simple villager breeding mechanic that you could use, and then just kind of pop the villagers over into this space. If you wanted to, you could temporarily build a villager breeder, right here, like up in the air, and then move the villagers into the space, destroy the breeder, and then kind of relocate them. They might get mad at you though if you do that, because you'll be destroying beds and things. So it's kind of up to you how you want to play with that. If you're going to use a villager breeder, make sure it's far away from this. I think 150 blocks or something like that, or at least over 100 blocks away might be the requirement for them not to confuse that village with this village. So You want to make sure you're doing that. So let me go ahead and pull up the, or show you the villager breeding mechanic really quickly, and then we'll pop the villagers in, because it's kind of they're finicky now, so there's a way that you have to do this in order to make sure they're in the right spot. So for a villager breeder, this is pretty much all you need. And so here's 20 beds. This is the number of villagers that we want. And I started out with 2 villagers in here, and you just throw them carrots or whatever, and they're going to share, and then over time they will decide to expand their village. Now, don't put workstations or anything in here, because then you're going to start getting cats and all that other kind of stuff. And if you have workstations, they'll start spawning golems like out in the open like this. So this is kind of what you want to do until you get up to your 20 villagers. And it might take a while. Well, there they go again. It might take a while for them to get up to 20, but I just built this, and are we going to have 4? Oh, there we go, 4. Now, so for this farm's purpose, all your villagers need to be regular villagers. They can't be nitwits, and they need to be full grown, so no children villagers. So you might have to go through a few iterations. You might have to get more than 20 villagers so that you can narrow it down to the ones that you need. All right, now for getting villagers into the farm, I highly recommend that you do this kind of one side at a time, because you're going to really need to put in 1 villager at a time going through the farm. You want to make sure that there are no beds or lecterns anywhere nearby. So like these over here would definitely interrupt with the system. So let me get rid of this, and then we'll put the ones in this one. I recommend before you put any villagers in that you go ahead and pop down here and drop your lava in. You only really need to put it on one side, but putting it on both is fine, because the moment you get up to 10 villagers, they might start spawning golems, but they'll definitely start spawning cats, and you want to kill the cats off so you don't have to break in and kill them. But what you want to do is get your villager, make sure they're not tied to a bed, so move them very, very far away from their bed, destroy their bed if you put a spawner here, and you want to put a bed down, and then put your villager in the space, and make sure that they connect with that bed. So you'll see the green particles, and then you can immediately drop your lectern down, and they'll connect to that lectern. Otherwise, you might run into an issue where if you do all of your beds and all your lecterns at once, you might drop a villager in here, and they actually connect to this bed and this lectern, and that can present a problem. So if you do it kind of this order, so bed, connection, and then lectern, you will always make sure that the villager that you're putting into the system is connected to the object that you want them to have. Now, obviously, in creative, this is a super quick process. In survival, it might take a little bit of time. The other thing you could do is you could do all the beds first, and then do, once you have all of them tied to a bed. So let me go ahead and do that really quick. So once you have all the villagers tied to a bed, you could come in and do the lecterns. And the easiest way to do that... Oh, I missed a person here. And of course, it's another nitwit. You can set a lectern down, and you'll see one of them connects to the lectern. This guy over here connected. And then you'll put the lectern down in front of him like that. And then you can do that again, place the lectern down. It's that guy, put it down in front of him. This guy over here, this guy here, and that'll mean this guy here gets that one. So those are kind of 2 methods of doing it. Either one works, but I think doing the whole module one at a time is probably going to be the fastest way to do it. And then you're going to want to repeat the process on the other side. All right, so once you've got all your villagers in place, they are ready to start kind of producing iron for you. The last thing you want to do is put a roof on this. Now, you kind of make a decision. If you're going to deal with your trading hall villagers from this way, which is perfectly okay, or if you're going to run along on the edge here and deal with them this way, either one works perfectly fine. You don't want to have... you can build like a walkway out of glass coming this way, or do kind of a walkway going this way out of slabs to connect to it. But it's completely up to you. But if you're going to come up here and do it this way, you might need to build the roof 3 high. It doesn't really matter how high you build it, but you want the roof to cover the same area that the slabs are covering down there. This is just to prevent any lightning strikes from turning all of your villagers into witches, because then you'd have to replace them, and that would be not a lot of fun. Now, you probably won't immediately see golems spawning into the farm, because in order for golems to spawn, all the workers, or 75% of your workers, have to have worked, I think in the previous day. So on the first day you do this, you might not see any golems spawn immediately, but on the next day you should start seeing it happen. But again, like, part of what we're doing here is taking the villager trading hall, and instead of it just taking up space and just being a trading hall, you also get the added functionality of some iron bars coming out of it, which is great. Now, if you get to the point where you're going through, and there's our first golem right there, as I spoke. Now, sometimes, because we have 20 villagers in this hall, sometimes you'll get 2 golems at a time, but we've only got 1 right now. And this will spawn cats occasionally, but the cats will generally... I haven't seen any cats survive, but they kind of hit the lava, they fall down, and then they burn up. And you get string out of it as well. We got 1 piece of string, so we've had a cat. But for the most part, I don't see a lot of cats in this design, but it's kind of here or whatever. Now, if you come in and you are messing around with your villagers and you realize knockbacks, terrible trade, all you got to do is destroy the lectern and pop it back in, and then you can... That's also a knockback. There we go. They'll change up their trades, and all you have to do is do that. Now, you don't want to run down the line and destroy all the lecterns and then run down the line and put them back, because, again, you want to match up the villagers standing in front of the lectern. Oh, Silk Touch for 15. That's not bad. You want to match up the villager in front of the lectern, so just do 1 at a time. Now, if you decide also that you want to turn these villagers into zombies to get their trades done, it'd be easy enough to have a zombie, corral a zombie in this area, and maybe build a pathway that connects all the beds or something. But have your zombie come in and infect this villager, and then block off the zombie, and then have him come over to the next one, and then cure all your villagers and get the lower trade value. Completely up to you, but that definitely would work out. But this is the design for a villager trading hall that I'm going to be using in my world, my new Into the Nether world. And so wow, I guess we had another we had another golem while I was talking. If I'm going to use this farm, I like to create designs that I think are useful in survival, and that you will find useful and easy to build. And as you can see, it's not a lot of resources. It's going to take a lot of time with all of our villagers, because villagers are a nightmare to wrangle. But for the most part, the easiest thing about this is building the farm, and working with villagers is always a headache. So that's just what it is. But if you liked this farm design, then please drop a like down at the bottom. If you want to see more videos like this, where I showcase designs that I'll be building in my Into the Nether world, then please subscribe, and drop a comment. Let me know if you build it. Let me know if you see any weird functionality problems or issues. One of the things that you might run into if you use lecterns is that during rain, like right now, lecterns right now seem to be less effective for iron golem spawning during the rain. So you might see a decrease in your efficiency of the farm if it's raining. But I ran this farm over here for 2 hours. 1 hour that I showed you, and then another hour after that. And, well, as you can see, while I was building it, we got even more iron. And I think one of the hours it was raining, and it was like 63 or 64, and I think it was like a stack of 22 or something like that. for the when it wasn't raining, and then I had like 64 and 8 when it was raining. So you're going to see a little bit decreased efficiency. Oh, there we go. But this is all about the trading hall and not about the farm. The farm is just a bonus. But if you want to see more like this, please subscribe, drop a comment, let me know how it goes. Send me a pic of it in your world on Twitter. Just stay connected and stay informed. But this is The Great Escape, and thank you for tuning in. I will see you next time.